like to use. So like I said, I have for a large part of my career worked in in-house roles. And this has been in either very large companies, so like it is Citibank or Northern Trust, which are huge, gigantic multinationals. And I have also been in a company which was relatively smaller, but geographically still spread over, 19 countries. So this company was in carbon credits, which is like, again, at that time when that company was started, it was quite a new field. Now obviously, like with we don't have so much of carbon credits being relevant with Kyoto Protocol and everything that got repealed, but like that was also in a very new kind of field at that time. In two of my roles, I wasn't the first choice of the hiring managers. I came to know this by my colleagues and everybody that I wasn't like, the first choice. In one case, the manager themselves told so that I wasn't the first choice. And interestingly, in one of the roles, I was actually hired as a wild card entry. Okay, so I was signed off. I wasn't selected in the second round of interview. Someone else got selected and hired. And then what happened was the person who was hired before me couldn't adjust to the fast paced environment in that company. Okay, now that company was growing at an extraordinary rate, like, hiring people left, right, and center, establishing offices across the country at different places. Okay, very fast growing, very fast moving, expanding in different business verticals. So it was really fast paced. So this person who was hired before me, he couldn't adjust to a fast paced environment, and he left within a week's time, saying that, this is like, I can't work with this. It's too dynamic, too on the fly, everything changing every other day. So it's very difficult. And only one of the directors actually brought me in. When I say wild card entry, this is the person who brought me in. And he only told me one thing when I said, like, for the hiring. He only told me one thing, कि तेरे को देख के लगता है कि तू फाइट मार सकती है. These are the exact words that he used. Like, the language in that company was very, very informal. It was a very flat organization, very dynamic, young. Okay. And this guy told me this, that I felt that you will be able to deal with whatever comes. And that is the only reason, like, despite you not being selected for the first interview, for the first round, and for the second round, sorry, we brought you in later on. Okay, so this is one thing that happened, and I felt like sharing this with you, that sometimes, what you do in an interview may not get you selected, but you may give an idea about your attitude or personality to somebody, and they may think that, this is the person who may fit with this kind of environment. It was a hell of an experience working with that company. I will not name, because I don't want to talk about, like, people who got hired and then didn't take it up. So why should you take up an in-house counsel position? Okay, why should you work in-house? Like, most people make the run for law firm positions, right? So what is it in an in-house counsel role? Like, people will think that at the end of the day, you are working for one company. So what can you be exposed to? In a law firm, you get multiple different clients working in multiple different sectors. There would be a lot of exposure. Logically thinking, that's what someone would feel, right? That there will be a lot of different exposure in a law firm, because at least there are many clients, right? There's not just one person you're working for, while in an in-house position, it's one entity. So how much diversity can you get in that role? That is something people may think. But actually, if you look at, this is one thing that, people at a little senior level will value. So if you get into a zone where you are somewhere around 4 to 5 years, you may start to be looking for some autonomy in the role. Okay, you need breathing space. You need to be able to take certain decisions on your own without having that threat over your head, that every decision that you take, you have to look for permission for the higher level, or there is a very limited space or a box within which you can take a decision. That kind of situations uh, can happen. But in in-house roles, my sense or my feeling was that I got far more autonomy. I had a lot of breathing space. If I wanted to get something done, okay, I was able to decide how I should get it done. Okay, so for every single thing, like how to work this out, I didn't have to go to a senior person. While in my role as an associate, I would be like, each movements, everything that I would take, I would have to like consult with my senior. This is what my experience is. People may have different experience, but this was what I felt. Okay, that there was far more autonomy that I sensed in an in-house role than I sensed with a firm. In a law firm, everything tends to be dictated by what the client wants. Okay, so, and one very important thing that you can feel, and then this is again my experience, and I felt that if you are handling a particular transaction, okay, for a client, and the client demands that you do anything and everything that's related to the transaction, irrespective of whether that's intellectually appealing or not, then you're going to have to do it. Okay, so they want certain filings to be completed. Yeah, you have to sit all the day and complete that filings. You don't really have an alternative. So you don't have that space, that, or you don't have this thing that you're going to have to uh, you get to work on clients. You get to work on contracts and clauses which are really creative, intellectually demanding, and where you are using or applying your mind fully. So all the time this may not be the case. Okay, and many times, in fact often, this will not be the case. Okay, you may have to do things which are procedural, which are like mundane, and you have still have to do it because it's required to be done for a client. Okay, but in an in-house role, you can have some uh, extent of intellectual inputs in that, because many times you will have people who are doing the filing for you. You will have people who are taking up the mundane work for you. You can have juniors. Okay, so this kind of situation can happen in an in-house role. But in a law firm, like, doesn't matter if you are at the partner level, still if the client wants something to be done, the client wants it to be done, and you don't have any lot of choice about it. You will have your hands in almost everything. This is for an in-house position. Okay, you will need to be aware about a lot more beyond law and far more beyond your own legal area. Okay, so when we work in a practice, we kind of tend to be litigators, or we tend to be transaction lawyers, or we may be dabbling a little bit with both, but like it will still be connected to the law somewhere. In in-house roles, your awareness of the business, expected awareness of the business is very, very high. Expected awareness of the functions in the business is also very high. So you can't afford to say, like, be in an in-house counsel position and make a statement that I don't care what the finance department is doing. I don't consider, or I'm not bothered about what is inside the accounts. I'm not bothered about what is in the HR. Okay, and if my focus is legal, so that's where I am. I don't have to be aware of all the other things. You can't afford to make statements like that. because everywhere your function will intersect with other functions in an in-house counsel role, right? So you will have to be aware of things beyond law, and you will have to be aware of things beyond your legal area also. You will be involved in transactions, setting up systems, compliance, and litigation. All of this will happen. Okay. In fast growing companies, this will happen a lot, because if it is growing, you will have to be setting up systems everywhere in a lot of different places, right? Yeah. Thanks, Sammanika. So if you have doubts, guys, you can put up in the chat. Sammanika here is going to help us with that. So yeah, you can be involved in transactions. You can be involved in setting up systems and processes for that organization. You can, like, developing policies, for example. Okay. You can be involved in compliance, and you can be involved in litigation also. Now, you may not actually go to the court and represent the company there, but you will have to be aware of what is the strategy that is taken by the lawyers who are representing the company. You will have to be aware of what is the plan, what is the progress, what is the update on the litigation. You will have to keep tab of all of these things. In fact, I recently met one in-house counsel who was, majorly into corporate laws, and she was working for a company. She told me that we are probably looking to go for an IPO, and we have litigations which are outstanding. And the lawyers tell me certain things, and I'm not aware of all the things that happen, like all kinds of litigation. I'm not aware of all of this. So sometimes I kind of feel or have this sense that, they are just explaining me certain things. And it's we could have taken a different strategy, or we could have taken a different stand. So the position demands that you are even up and aware of what is a kind of litigation strategy that you should be taking. Okay, even if you are not yourselves going and presenting the matters in the courts, you still have to be aware. So this is like, a little bit demanding position. It demands, your competence on an all-round basis. You will directly be interacting with the stakeholders. Okay, stakeholders of the company, the management, other departments, customers, consultants, regulators, shareholders. Okay, you can be directly interacting with so many different people. In a law firm, there will be years before you actually directly get to interact with the clients. Okay, you may be functioning very much on the inside part of it for a long period of time. Okay, you may not directly be exposed to the people, while here you will completely be thrown into the sea. Okay, you will be communicating with all of these different people. Okay, and I remember one of my professors actually telling me that you can have an angry shareholder or someone like Storm pinned to your into your office, and demand certain things and all, and you have to get up and you have to give them a glass of water. That's it. You will be interacting with them, and you can't avoid this, right? They will come and they may make statements. So obviously, like, access and everything with people like this is regulated, but the point is that you will have to be interacting with a lot of different people for a lot of different things. Okay. There will be more resources at your disposal, so you can have flexibility to spend to an extent. Okay. So in many, if companies are structured, you tend to have, like, levels of spending which are permitted at different levels of the organization. So if you are at a certain level in the organization, you have a flexibility to spend to a certain extent. Beyond that, it will be to certain extent. Beyond that, it will be to certain extent, like that. So you can have levels up to which you are allowed or permitted to spend, okay, to get the work done for the company. Okay, you will have authority to do this. But with a law firm, my experience was that, like, any kind of extra spend, and you can be taken to task. Like, you'll have to explain all spendings that you have to the senior. Why tech companies? Now I really want. Do you think so? Because people are here, definitely there is some interest in-house roles with tech companies. So why tech companies? Like, can can we have some interactions? Sammanika, what do you think? Like, I'll have you share also. Are tech companies hiring, and what extent are they hiring? We'll have them. First, let's have some interactions with them. What do you guys feel about roles with tech companies? In-house
So
roles
just
with tech.
like what you mentioned, that is exactly the same thing in-house mein, because ultimately the role remains the same. We feel that in a niche company, if you're going, you'll just be doing that kind of a particular work, right? For example, if I say that
Yeah.
I want to work at Bharti Airtel or Reliance Jio, I might think that I'll only be working in as a, say, telecom lawyer, right, or a tech lawyer. But as an in-house
Yeah.
counsel, you will be doing a mixed combination of everything. The only difference, the main
Yeah.
difference between a law firm and an in-house counsel is that आप law firm में एक ही specific niche पकड़ते हो, and then you do that kind of work. For example, if you're a banking lawyer in a law firm, you'll only be dealing with matters related to banking law. You'll not be looking at the litigation part. You'll not be looking at the consumer complaints. But when you're working as an in-house counsel in any kind of a company, you tend to do a lot of mixed kind of everyday legal work, right? So in a tech
Yeah.
company, definitely majority of the work revolves around technology law, but then it is always overlapped with other laws. Like अगर आपका कोई भी आप service
Yeah.
provide कर रहे हैं, the customer is not happy and the customer has filed a consumer complaint against you, then you will have to deal with that consumer matter, and you can't say that मैं consumer lawyer नहीं हूँ, go
Yeah.
to someone
Yeah.
else, right? So that
Yes.
like the in-house gives you an overall exposure, while the firms give you a niche exposure. You become an expert at one thing, right? In an in-house counsel, you are jack of all trades.
Yeah. So
Right.
we have some inputs here, like Nirmal is saying that I'm an engineering guy, but the tech is always evolving. So that's why we look. Tanya is saying I'm exploring avenues in tech companies because they may offer work from home options for in-house counsels. Okay. So Monica, so what do you feel like in your experience for hiring in tech companies? Like, do are people looking to take more roles, or are more tech companies looking to hire? What is your sense?
Helped a girl prepare. She had around 6 years of experience. She was going preparing for in-house counsel role. So in these companies, one, the most important. So I, from our viewers' point of view, I'm assuming most of them are freshers and they don't know about tech. So I'll quickly give you a brief background about what tech is, right? तो आप लोगों को जैसे पता है कि टेक्नोलॉजी जो है एक बहुत बड़ा अम्ब्रेला है. ठीक है, टेक्नोलॉजी के अंदर आपके बहुत सारे छोटे छोटे कंपोनेंट्स आते हैं. जैसे आपका cyber law is one component of it. Cyber, like people just doing cyber work are also called technology lawyers, but they are only looking at the cyber complaints and cyber, just cyber related work, core cyber. Then आपका टेक्नोलॉजी में आता है fintech companies, financial technology companies. Now in India, Paytm, Google Pay, ये सब जो payment gateways हैं, to some extent they are also treated as fintech companies in India, though they are not in reality the core fintech companies, but they are treated like that, right? तो आप फिनटेक कंपनी से रिलेटेड जो भी काम होता है वो भी आपका टेक्नोलॉजी के अम्ब्रेला के विद इन आता है. थर्ड मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट चीज, आपका जितना भी प्रिवेसी मैटर है, प्राइवेसी जो आप कई लोग बोलते हैं, सो प्रिवेसी रिलेटेड जो भी चीज आती है, चाहे वो ऑनलाइन प्रिवेसी ऑफलाइन प्रिवेसी हो, स्पेशली जहां पे भी आपका टेक्नोलॉजी इन्वॉल्व है, राइट, वो आपका टेक के डोमेन में आता है. देन दीज डेज आपके जितने भी ओटीटी प्लेटफॉर्म्स है, जैसे नेटफ्लिक्स हो गया, प्राइम हो गया, इन सब से रिलेटेड कुछ
Absolutely.
भी
It all
जहाँ पे
affected.
मीडिया और टेक्नोलॉजी का ओवरलैप होता है, वहां पे आपका टेक का काम आता है. एंड लास्टली मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंटली आपका आता है ब्लॉकचेन एंड क्रिप्टो करेंसी. So within that bigger umbrella of tech, these are the smaller different domains which are covered, and you have a choice to pick your niche from this, that even though I might be a technology lawyer, but it's okay, I don't understand blockchain and cryptocurrency. Or I might be a technology lawyer just looking after blockchain and cryptocurrency, and I'm not much bothered about, say, your fintech companies, right? So these are the different roles you have. And for ma'am, SaaS projects and data privacy, especially GDPR, सबसे ज़्यादा requirement है in tech companies.
Yeah.
They are looking for lawyers who have some knowledge of GDPR they can like utilize. So इसीलिए जो भी मेरे पास technology से related placement assistance के लिए आता है, they say that like please help us with what is SaaS. We are not aware of what is SaaS. Like can you help us with that? So to that girl also, I had told, like she had just enrolled 3 days before her interview in the course. I told her, you directly jump to that module first, you prepare from there, and we'll have a mock interview. So yeah, that's the common trend. The first thing, most important thing they are looking for right now is GDPR lawyers and somebody who can understand.
Huge, huge. So here some of this, like many of these tend to be young, dynamic and fast growing, like I said. But more than this is what, as Sammanika put, right? Gradually we'll cease to have many brick and mortar entities left which do not have a tech front or a tech angle. Okay, so like Sammanika indicated, fintech, okay, which is finance plus technology. Okay, so if you are looking at services like payment gateways, as she informed, or even you are looking at intermediary related services like broking and all, but which do have a tech front or a tech angle to it. Okay, and we are, I mean, just think of this, we are starting to get tech in everything. Okay, so we have medico tech, we have legal tech, we have ed tech, we have prop tech. Okay, so everywhere, wherever there are brick and mortar kind of entities, except for maybe infrastructure, like hardcore infrastructure, if you will say, except for like oil companies and highway manufacturing companies and all of that. Other than that, you will soon start to have, like, you know, a tech front, either a tech front or a tech angle in everything. Okay, so this is, it will pervade slowly. As you can see, like, you know, it is happening also where people are combining technology with everything. So you will start to have either a tech based front, or you will have a tech based angle to all kinds of brick and mortar entities slowly as you go along. Okay, fintech is big right now, but you can have, slowly you will have tech angle to everything. You know, in the lockdown, you will see lots of entities like telemedicine started with in a lot of companies. Online medical consultancy started in a lot of entities. Okay, so these kinds of situations will start to happen in many other domains. If you are in a tech company, so you understand this, because of this tech front and tech angle being introduced in majority of the sectors, your employability will increase manifold. Okay, so if you have been in a tech angle and you understand what kind of questions or what kind of issues technology companies can face, then obviously where the tech angle gets added to different things, your employability will increase because you can work in those areas. Okay, while other people who may have been in really core legal parts of it will not be able to get that fast. You're likely to be in touch with what's next, and I want to show some things here. Who knows this person? How many of you know this person? How many of you know this little guy? Yeah, artificial intelligence, yeah, but AI, yeah. This is a really small robo called Cosmo, and you know, it's quite popular. Yeah, robotics. So this, like, you know, this is a small, it's a very you know, small sized robo, and his name is Cosmo. You can, like, you know, check out how it is. And this is something like robotics is something you can find. How would you feel to work with its creator, Anki Technologies? So this is, like, you know, this is something that you can get a real kick and a real thrill of. These kinds of companies can tend to be really creative. Okay, like you are binging on Netflix in the weekend and on Monday you are going to the Netflix office. How would it feel? Okay, so they tend to be really creative. You can contribute to something that is next, okay, and which is developing, which is really, really creative. Or maybe this attracts you. Okay, online gaming has spread like wildfire in the lockdown. Okay, because people will turn to internet for the thrill and the kick and its creator, Mojang. So, working for all of these kinds of entities, it is really, really thrilling and interesting. You can feel like, you are creating something new every day. So this is something where I am looking for Sammanika's inputs on. Or Snap, like, Snap, which is the company which is dealing with Snapchat. So you have, like, they're looking to come with, I recently read that they're looking to come with augmented reality lenses. Okay, so you kind of put that lens on and you are able to see things which are not, okay, in a setting which is there. So it's like a room which you have, and you will be able to see a sofa. How would that look inside a room? Things like that. Okay, augmented reality again can be something that you can look for. Okay, so when should you start looking for a job? This is, or when should you start? You are really thrilled, you are geared, you want to work for tech companies in in-house roles. So where is it that you should start looking for a job, right? What is the usual way people do? What is the usual way? When do people usually start looking for work? When do people usually start looking for work? Guys, yeah, Harika, you can put it in the chat, please. In final years, mostly after grad, in their final years. So Manika, this should give you some clues.
Yeah.
So final years, and so mostly people start to look for work in the final years or after graduation, right? Okay. Is that the right way? Is that the right time? No, everyone knows it's not the right time, but we do it. Why? So what is a better way then? What's the better way, guys? See, this is like fitness, and this is like food. We know it's the wrong kind of food, but we still eat it, right? Start early. Okay. Something around penultimate year. Okay. Or ante. Okay. 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 So the best way, guys, or the better way is that you are working for or for a job, or you are looking at getting in a domain right from the point when you start studying. Okay, your gearing of the studies and all the efforts, okay, should be towards landing at a particular destination. Obviously, now in your first year you may not even be aware of what are the destinations that are available, but your view or your thought should always be geared like that. So what are the skills? So it will be like, first let me decide a destination, and then all of this period let me work towards how best I can land at that destination quickly. Okay. How can we transition if you've worked in a different area in a company? Okay, Sammanika, I like your views on this. When do people start looking for work? And then this question also, how can we transition if we've worked in different areas?
Okay, ma'am, let's make it more interactive. Let's ask our audience members, what do they think? Like, you can just raise your hand, I'll unmute you, and first, let us hear your version. Right? So please raise your hand in the chat box, I'll unmute you. See, there's nobody judging, so like feel free to have a discussion. No one wants to volunteer. I don't think people here are looking for a job, mom. So probably we can skip this part if they're not looking for a job. Right.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Right. So when should you look for job? I won't say don't look for job per se. Look for an opportunity, and an opportunity can knock your door at any step. Like I'll tell you, I have a fourth year student from Bombay. She's not even from a NLU, and she developed an interest in blockchain. She started researching in that field. She created her own blog, and right now, like I'm just waiting for her grand success story to be out. Like she's requested me not to release the details as of now. So step by step, we are progressing towards that. She's getting amazing internship opportunities, good exposure with big lawyers, tech lawyers, and very soon I'm pretty sure she'll become a great lawyer, right? So she's not looking for a job per se. She's looking for that one opportunity, and I believe she's already gotten like a series of opportunities so far, right? So the best time to look for an opportunity is once you have clarity, firstly, that this is exactly what I want to do, and secondly, when you've prepared your mind that whatever challenges I might be facing in this particular field, I'm ready to face them. I want to like study the subject more, because as lawyers, we are always studying, we are always learning, right? So if you want that, okay, technology at present, it might be a tougher thing for me. I may not understand everything, and that's okay. I am ready and willing to learn. So the day you feel this thing that I'm ready and willing to learn in this field, that is the day when you're ready to get that opportunity. And of course, if you're looking for a job, then you should be like all like most of you said, final year or penultimate year and all, right? But for that, do some internships, do some research work, like write more. I personally feel that anybody who wants to say that I'm a good lawyer, like yesterday only I was doing a mentorship call with somebody who had 10 years of experience, and he said, I lost my retainer clients, now what do I do? So I said, why would somebody else trust you? Because you're not taking independent clients. The only way you can convince the other person that I know this subject is when you have some proof in the form of skill sets, like your drafts are ready, that this is the kind of work I do or I am aware of. And of course, when you write more, once your profile is ready, go ahead, you're ready to get that job.
Yeah. So I think here there's another question. But in a where you are in a zone that you don't have clarity, like Sammanika says that, and I agree with her, the moment you kind of find out what is the one thing that you're really into, then like you can direct all your efforts towards that. But until you find that thing, your aim should be to find that thing. That when you are in a zone of clarity, you may try out, you may be have some time to experiment different things, but the goal should be that I will arrive at one thing which I'm really into, you know. So
Right,
because the kind of thing that I am doing, I do all kinds of legal services, kind of is passe, so it doesn't work. So here I have a question. I'm a law graduate, I'm the first law graduate. I don't know how to get a job. What are the part that I have to develop? So
Ishwarya, let's have like
yeah,
one-on-one
discuss
detailed
offline.
mentorship on this, because to address this, we need certain facts. Like just like any lawyer needs facts to decide what would be the final advice the lawyer would give. In the same manner, if I have to give you an advice, I need like some background information about your long-term goals. Why did you choose law at the first place and all? So we have something called one-on-one mentorship. Available counseling. You can apply for that from our website, and you can like speak to the mentor, tell them what your goals are, and then they'll help you.
Okay, so Aishwarya, I hope that answers your question. See, this is always there. So when you're deciding what is the one thing that you're going to get into, right? So then it has to be like, you have to keep your eye on the next things. And again, I can share an experience here that um, when I was getting into graduation, with me, there were people who uh, took up there were quite a few of my, like, schoolmates or who went into engineering. Okay. And most of them kind of took up mechanical and instrumentation control kind of engineering. IC, they used to say at that point of time. and people who had got very less marks or they were in the lower grades, they were taken into information technology. Okay, because at that time it wasn't like the in thing. But like 3 or 4 years down the line, and the people who came out as mechanical engineers were quite low on the employability grid, and the people who were like in information technology were high up, like they got really good employments. So like you can think on what is the next thing that is going to happen. Okay, that you should always try to find out this, that what is the next thing. And there is ample guidance on the internet. There are ample uh, ample blogs and all of that, which kind of always talk about what is forthcoming, right? What is going to happen, what is next. Some part of things you can even think, connect the dots logically and think as to what is going to come next. But this is where you should be looking at, that what is the next thing, and what is the next thing that I can pick up, which people who are currently traditional lawyers, like having many years of experience, don't have this, because this is the next thing. Okay, and they will also have to work as much into that domain as you would have to, because it hasn't been there for ages, so they don't have like 20 years of experience in that zone. Okay, so your eye should always be on this, that what is the thing that is coming, and what is the thing that I should pick up in your college years. Skills that are required by tech company and areas we can work. I'm coming to that, Shubhanshi. I'm coming to that. When should you start preparing for a job? Richa is, yeah, Richa. You can unmute yourself and speak.
Yes, so ma'am, I would like to know what are the steps to take to launch the first opportunity or internship in this tech law when there is no prior knowledge of any drafting or like practical skills which are
We're coming to that. We're going to come to that. We're going to come to that. Wait for it.
We'll be
We're
speaking.
going to come. Yeah.
okay,
We're going to come what you need, because this is about the how, right? We're going to come to how. All of your how questions, we're going to answer about it. Okay, that how should you do that?
thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. When should you start? This is something again Sammanika can like get or bring again. So when do you start? It will be a situation that when you come to know about the area in which you are inclined with, you do. The usual way is people will kind of not even be thinking about what is the one way that I really want to pick up or I'm interested in. People will just go through all the years of law college, and then at the end, like in the last year or penultimate years, people may try to find the zone that where am I inclined with. Okay, so your preparation actually starts, and again, there will be many people in fact who are capable, who are in that zone, that let me finish, let me have maybe like 6 months of chilling, because I'm done with the college now, and then I'll look for. Okay, now if you are that affluent and you have the ability to do that, then you can. But otherwise, for people who are in other zone, the requirement will be that you actually have something right when you are done, maybe even before that. Okay, you have something in place, you have something in hand. Okay, so at the time that when you graduate, you don't miss out on the time, and you don't miss out on waiting and looking for a process of looking for jobs. What is the difference in applying for an in-house counsel role as compared to a law firm? Okay, so again, this is like my experience which I will share. If you're looking for an in-house counsel role as compared to a law firm, in-house counsels, as Sammanika put it also, will be someone who will be a generalist specialist. Okay, so this is what hiring managers will be looking for. It'll be like for a generalist specialist. So you should have a dab at like quite a few different things and a specialization in something. Okay, this is what you will be. Otherwise, in a law firm, it will be like a niche in one area and real expertise in that area. They work in that area.
I'd briefly touched on this part, the difference between an in-house counsel as compared to a law firm. But if any one of you is still not clear and want me to repeat, just write in the chat box and I'll explain it again. So if there's no one, can we proceed? I'll just wait for 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
If you want me to clarify again the difference between an in-house counsel and a law firm, just let me know. Okay.
This is rather like, in hiring or in applications, Sammanika.
Right.
Than for the roles as such.
Okay. So ma'am, for like applying also, like they first need to know the difference. So I'll quickly again repeat. Okay. Now, see, the main difference between a law firm and an in-house counsel in India is that in a law firm, when you're joining a law firm, आप अपने दिमाग में सोच के चलते हो कि which team am I going to join? Am I going to join the litigation team? Am I going to join the corporate team? Am I going to join the banking team, M&A team, whatever team, right? You have one domain in your mind and you say that I'll be joining this particular team of a law firm, right? But when you join an in-house counsel, you don't think कि मुझे कौन सी team join करनी है. Rather, you think मुझे कौन सी company join करनी है, right? More than the team, you connect yourself with the company, with the particular brand or with the particular kind of work the company does, right? But in an in-house counsel, now a general I'm talking about, okay? Then I'll come to specific in-house counsels also. But in general, जो difference है आपका law firm और in-house counsels में वो ये है, in-house counsel में you tend to do every work related to the legal everyday legal tasks. जैसे majorly आपका काम होगा contract से. Almost 70 to 80% of your task revolves around contracts. For example, if you're working at say Vodafone or Bharti Airtel, right? Now you will be entering into distributorship agreements with the local the vendors agreements with the local vendors जो आपके SIM cards distribute करते हैं. Then you will be entering into lease and license agreement, right? अगर आप किसी की प्रॉपर्टी रेंट पे लेते हो या लीज पे लेते हो जहां पे आप ये कंपनीज अपने टावर्स लगाते हैं, राइट? तो आप उसके लिए जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स में एंटर करते हो, दीज आर द लाइक देयर आर डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स यू विल बी एंटरिंग इनटू एवरीडे पर्पस पे. उसके अलावा आपका जो और कुछ लीगल चैलेंजेस हुए जैसे कंज्यूमर कंप्लेंट्स लाइक आई मेंशन्ड अबाउट, वो आपकी इन हाउस टीम हैंडल करती है. तो जो छोटा मोटा जितना भी लीगल काम उस कंपनी का एवरीडे लीगल काम होता है वो इन हाउस काउंसिल करता है, ठीक है? तो आप फर्म में क्या किया, आपने फर्म में एक स्पेशलाइज नीश लिया. फॉर एग्जांपल फर्म में अगर वोडाफोन का मैटर चाहता है तो अगर वो M&A रिलेटेड होगा, लाइक इफ वोडाफोन इज मर्जिंग विद आइडिया, right, and the matter goes to a law firm, then the M&A part of that particular deal will be held by the taken care by the M&A team of that particular firm, right? On the other hand, if there is any litigation part involved, then that will be handled by the litigation department of the firm, right? So all the different matters will be distributed in the firm with the different teams who have the specialization of that particular type. But in the same thing does not happen in the in-house team. In-house में आप सब तरीके का काम करते हो. This is the general difference, right? Now there are few specific in-houses, जैसे आपका Netflix हो गया, Prime हो गया, ये जो बड़े corporates होते हैं, within them they have certain sets of niche areas as well. लाइक बिकॉज जैसे आपका जो भी एंटरटेनमेंट इंडस्ट्री से रिलेटेड इन हाउस टीम होती है, वहाँ कई जगह ऐसा होता है कि उनकी बैंकिंग एंड फाइनेंस की एक सेपरेट टीम होती है विद इन द इन हाउस, बिकॉज इतना अमाउंट ऑफ मनी हर दिन सर्कुलेट हो रहा होता है एंड देयर इज लॉट ऑफ फाइनेंसिंग हैपनिंग एवरी डे. सो द फाइनेंसिंग पार्ट इज नॉट डेल्ट बाय द जनरल इन हाउस टीम, रादर इट इज डेल्ट बाय अ specific team which is taking care of the banking and finance of the in-house of that particular company. Similarly, some of the companies which have a special niche in say IPR, right, and they are big corporates with like have lot of everyday IPR related work, then within the in-house they have a separate IPR team as well. But ये सब में नहीं होता है. The first difference which I told you, where I was saying that the in-house does everyday kind of a general work, is the common norm, and the specific which I said is in very limited organizations. So I hope the difference is clear. Now, when ma'am said, what is the difference in applying? So this is the main difference, because when you're applying to a firm, you have to specify which particular team you're applying for, right? उस particular team के according आपको अपनी applications modify करनी पड़ेगी. But when you are applying to a company as an in-house, then आपको company के overall services को ध्यान में रख के अपना application modify करके you have to apply. Right? So like ma'am said, technology. Now technology these days is overlapping with every particular sector. आप Zomato की बात कर लो, food tech sector, आपका technology involved है. आप legal देख लीजिए, law सीखो, legal edutech sector, right? We have a lot of other edutech companies also coming up. Then you have food tech, edutech, then what else? Games, online games these days, right? So technology is somewhere or the other overlapping everywhere. So that's how you have to modify your application. I hope this is clear now.
Yeah, we want some responses, guys. Does that help you? Gaurav? Yeah, thanks. Great, great.
I'm glad so many of you were able to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot, Sammanika. So then this is the thing that people were asking for, that what is the kind of work that you are likely to get to do. Okay, if you are getting into an in-house role in a tech company, and I believe Sammanika covered this to an extent also, but this is something that you can have. Okay, transaction structuring in a fast growing company, you are likely to see acquisitions, spin-offs, okay, setting up entities outside India, and intra-group company transactions. So all of these kinds of transactions you will have to play a role in structuring. Okay, I can tell that in one of my roles, very fast growing, I saw both of this: acquisition, a proposed acquisition, and a proposed setting up of an entity out of India, a proposed diversion into a different line of business, and like all the registrations and everything for that. But this is something that you are likely to see. It's very fast growing. You will see these things. Okay, and you will see these things sooner rather than later. Contracts, Sammanika covered. Drafting and review and of transactions. When you're saying transaction structuring, it means contracts. So you may be strategizing something, but obviously you will be putting those things down, those structures down into contracts. So you will see a lot of contracts in lot of different areas. It will not only be corporate, like she said, it will be in IP, it will be in employment, okay, and so it can be related to property, it will be lots of different areas. Okay. So contracts, all, I mean, like major contract drafting and review. Intellectual property management. If you're tech companies, they can be buying intellectual property because they'll be using it to create certain products. They can be selling intellectual properties or licensing. Okay, I'm putting very simple terms. It will go into licensing, assignment, okay, purchase, all of that, technology transfer agreements. All of these things will be covered in this domain where you are managing the intellectual property. Okay, and you will be involved all the time in protecting your intellectual property also, in addition to monetization. So naturally you have to take care where it's going to where it is being infringed, okay, or are you susceptible to infringing someone else's intellectual property. Okay, so you have to be very careful in these things. You can't be, for example, you may be using certain kinds of software which seems like it is available, but it might actually be infringing on someone else's property. So then you need to get an appropriate license for that, right? So intellectual property management can be big in tech companies. Compliance, like this is something you can slowly have regulators coming up for OTT platforms. You can have regulators coming up for gaming industry. Until now, like you have they have been kind of working under very thin kind of guidelines, and they'll set up on their own. It's just they are self-regulated. They set up their own guidelines and everything. But now, like, this is just a day back news that, there is a urge by the gaming industry to set up a self-regulatory body. So you have censor board and all of that, but those are for like, content which is related in the films and all. What about OTT? What about gaming? Okay. So you can have this policy and legal teams in some major tech companies. Can you throw some light on them? Legal teams will be handling all of this. Chandralekha, policy will be in a policy domain will come up where it is a little bit, bigger sized company, or maybe it is kind of, a subsidiary to a group holding company somewhere else. Multinational companies tend to be very, very strict on policy domains. They will have very clearly established international policies which are applicable to entities across the globe. So, and those, even their setting up, their composition and everything will be dictated by policy. Okay. So it can be that structured if you're looking for, really multinational companies or huge technology companies, you will find these kinds of departments. Okay. And they will see, because they can also be subject to extraterritorial laws. Okay. Like bribery and all of that. And this is why they will want to have very, very clear policy and everything set up. Okay. AML, KYC, anti-terrorist financing, all of these will be kind of global things. So you will have policies set up for all of these kind of matters. Okay. Fintech can have very strict policies because, they are very susceptible to money laundering and all of that. Does that answer your question? Chandralekha, what do they do? Why do you need policies? And it's a big deal. Like, I have been in a bank. It's not exactly a tech company, but it is like something like 15 pages of a legal entity management policy document. Okay, it is that strict. What do you need to arm yourself with? Here people will asking, what do I need to do? What kind of skills do I need to have, and what do you need to arm yourself with? Okay, so let's come to that. Arm yourself with all necessary information first. Okay, so what's the business? Who are the players? What is AI? What is blockchain? What is crypto? Okay, so it's not only just the basic concepts, you also find out who are the players. What do these guys do? What is virtual reality? What is augmented reality? What is cloud computing? Okay, what is open source software? You may be lawyer, but you need to know these things, at least understand basics of this if you want to be able to draft contracts. So all necessary information about the players, their business, and this is something that I took out, which was very interesting. Like, you will have lots of resources like this, I am pretty sure, available on internet, available on different kinds of websites like investor websites, industry association websites. So you can have these kinds of things. Let me just share my screen with this. So here, this is the website. I'll just share. It's called clutch.co. And here I was just opening and having a look at that. The top 50 emerging technologies developers in India revealed. So they have these companies which are here. Many of these are app development companies. So you look at that. Like, these are the companies which is put. Okay. So which of these are really growing? Where do you want to end up? You may not even have heard the names of some of them, like until now, but you have all of these research available on the internet, which you can look. What kind of business do these companies do? Okay. So all these names are there, and this is just one website here, clutch.co. You can have lots of different websites which will be giving this information. And these are not going to be gigantic companies like, otherwise you would know about them. But you can look at what is the kind of work these entities do. So you get an idea. And these are emerging. So this is what, people are saying, that it's like these developers are slowly growing. You can also look at their financials somewhere if you find it on the MCA website, and you can see what's the extent of business that these guys do. Okay. So all that information, you can create a research on. So arm yourself with this information. Okay. What are the areas in which you can work? Who are the players in this industry? Right. So this is just one website that I took out this morning, but there'll be loads of information sources like this. Okay. Find the people behind the companies. Not only do you find the business and the players who are there, you also find who are the people behind these companies. Okay, what are their backgrounds? What have they done? If there are lawyers inside these companies, then you find out what is the track that these people have gone through. Okay, so let's say they were working for one firm or one company before, then they move to another, then they move to another, then they move to another, things like that. So what is the path they have taken to get into these companies? These kinds of things you can check if you find lawyers. But if entities are in very, very beginning stages, they may not have in-house counsels. And then that's a very good opportunity for you, because you will understand the business. You will know what the stage or the extent of work or the size of the company is. You will find out who the people behind the companies are. Okay. And you can kind of, get connected with them. You can follow them on social media. So whenever, for example, they are putting some new product or something, you can come to know what they are doing, what that company is doing. Okay. You will be aware of all of these developments that happen as you go along. So arm yourself with all of this information. Okay. And the moment and the time comes when you reach out to them with, for employment and for work, then you will have a lot of background idea of the stuff before you take that step. Right. So you arm yourself with all of this information. Arm yourself with solid skills. Okay. Now it's not necessary that it's not enough that you just have the information. You also need the ability to do the work that they need you to do, right? So what are the kind of skills that you will need? This is the number one, as we said, contract drafting and review skills you will need. You have to learn this. You have to be able to do this. Will they not want prior experience? Richard, this is what I'm saying. Like, if you have the skills, then you are on par with someone who has the experience because of the nature of the business. Okay, so if you are talking of things like augmented reality and all of that, these are not things that have been in place since ages. Okay, so you are not going to have lawyers, so you're not going to have people who have known these things since ages, because they were not in existence. Okay, so naturally, if you pick up the skills in emerging or new areas, you are kind of on par with people who are experienced, because these things were not there. These areas of work were not there before, right? So contract drafting skills is something that you have to pick up. And now just think of this, you were thinking of someone who's a 10-year experienced lawyer. He has a lot of experience of contract drafting in maybe like, a lot of different areas. But for you understand AI really, really well. Okay. And you are very, very, very familiar with what is the kind of terms of what happens in that business. And then you are also able to, understand how to draft contracts. So who will be a better choice? Because AI is not something that has been in place since ages. It's only come in the recent years. Okay. So think on these terms, that where you pick up new areas like this and you connect your skills to the new areas, you are kind of on par with experienced people. Okay. Richard, does that answer your question? How to acquire these specific skills with respect to tech law? Any way to learn and excel on our own, to learn drafting technology, law contracts. It's not a paper in college. Yeah, it's not. Okay, so but let's have a look at first what are the kind of skills that you need. Okay, so contract drafting skills is something that you need. Technology contracts. What are technology contracts? Okay, so we want to learn what are the different types of technology contracts that you come across. Okay, software and website development agreements, e-commerce related contracts. Okay, there can be loads of different types of technology contracts. Intellectual property related contracts. This is something that you will have to arm yourself up with as well, isn't it? Because you will have to be aware of, licensing and assignment and all of those agreements. Understanding of applicability of liability as an intermediary, because these companies will be, and Sammanika just mentioned GDPR and data privacy. So like if it's a company which is having access to data, then their liabilities as a data processor, controller, all of this you must understand and you must arm yourself with. Know about how intellectual property rights can be monetized and protected. We just come across that. So Sammanika, how you want to speak something about that? What are the kind of skills people need to arm with in your experience?
Right. So, ma'am, could you allow me to share my screen now?
Yes, sure.
The question is, what are the skill sets required and how will 𝗨𝗡 help, right? Okay. So, guys, I have a small homework for you all. Go to 𝗨𝗡's website, www.𝗨𝗡.com. Okay. Here you go on top and go to courses. Okay. Now, here you just type technology or say just type cyber. You'll get this thing. Diploma in cyber law. This is kind of a like leaked information for you all. So there is no charges for doing this research for your own profile, right? You want to understand what kind of work do technology lawyers do. Okay, do Control F and type specific learning objectives. Okay, this is the summary in 25 points. What are the different kind of skills do a technology lawyer need, right? I'll read them along with you. Okay. So, what are the types of services you can provide to businesses around cyber law, technology contracts, fintech, cryptocurrency, and e-commerce related work? Like I just told you, right? ये आपका basic काम होता है. Of course, as a lawyer, अगर आप बोल रहे हो कि I'm a technology lawyer, these are the 5 to 6 main domains in which you will be offering your services. Now, what kind of agreements? Because हमने बहुत ज़्यादा कोमल मैम और मैंने हर स्टेप पे बात करा that you will be working on contracts, right? As in आप किसी भी इन हाउस कंपनी में चले जाओ, आप कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स में काम करोगे. तो व्हेन यू आर वर्किंग विद अ टेक कंपनी, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स डू यू वर्क अपॉन? सो दीज आर द डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स टेक्नोलॉजी लॉयर वर्क्स अपॉन, लाइक सॉफ्टवेयर लाइसेंसेस एंड डेवलपमेंट अग्रीमेंट्स, e-commerce agreements, your service agreements, your cloud computing agreements, your master services agreements, and domain name transfer and assignment agreements. Then your end user license agreement. आपको पता है ये end user word आजकल कई बार use हो रहा है. तो आप your end user license agreement is also drafted by a technology lawyer, right? Then other kind of licenses and agreements include your outsourcing agreement, your technology transfer agreement, your, of course, music license agreement if you are going into any music and tech company. Then ebook publication, which is a very important thing. A lot of people ignore, but now that you know, because of Kindle and like most of the people are preferring to publish their books online. For that ebook publishing agreement, you should be knowing how to draft. Then most interesting, my favorite is your video game development agreement, because aapka jaise PUBG and all these are the new games which are coming up and a lot of people are showing interest in playing video games online. So how do you draft a video game development agreement? Then of course the most common one, non-disclosure agreement. ये तो आप हर जगह ही draft करते हैं, right? Now if your software requires changes, then how would you draft and issue a change order? That is something, the task which a technology lawyer would be doing, right? So these are like, we've listed, this is the summary of around 30-40 main points which a technology lawyer should be aware of. So after the session, you can just go back and check on the website the different types of work which a technology lawyer does. It could be possible that based on your previous experience, wherever you've worked so far or wherever you've interned so far, could be possible that some of the things you're already aware of, right? So a student was just now writing in the chat box that ma'am, mujhe agar they might be asking for previous experience. How do I justify that I have experience? This is what you can talk in terms of experience. Like if you've drafted something which is overlapping with technology, and if you've worked in that kind of work during your previous internships or previous place of employment, then you can definitely mention that in your cover note or in your application, that this is what I already know and I want to explore more in this particular sector, right? Now see, this is the most important thing which jiska sabse zyada abhi market mein demand hai. Everybody, like I have got requests from a lot of tech startups also, especially based in Delhi and Gurgaon. They say, Sammanika, please give us somebody who can do GDPR related work. Like there was this student who was doing a technology course, and he is a senior associate in a firm. He came to me, he said, my firm will give me an off for 2 months to do this kind of internship because we want to grow in this sector and we want to work in the practical sector to understand the challenges, right? So if you know this work, you will be the next big lawyer. Like for example, abhi say 10 years pehle jitne bhi log competition ki field mein ghus gaye the, competition law and antitrust law, today they are the experts in that sector, right? Because that sector just started in India around 10 years back, right? So in the same manner, technology is building up now. Right now we don't have so many big technology lawyers, so you could be that first generation technology lawyer for our generation also, and you could be 10 years down the line, you could be an expert in this sector if you know these kind of work, especially GDPR related, because people don't know how to work on data privacy. So if you can advise businesses on how to draft their GDPR compliant privacy policies, you'll get good amount of work. Somebody, I believe Tanya, I think was asking about work from home opportunities. Now, when we say work from home, and if you're doing especially freelancing work with startups, this is one thing you can definitely do. That you can tell them that I know how to draft GDPR compliant privacy policies, so you can give that task to me and I can do that. You can go to Fiverr, you can go to Upwork, and आप वहाँ check कर लो how many people are actually offering the service. There will be very few, and if there is anybody who's offering this, would definitely be making good amount of money because people are ready and willing to pay for this service, right? So drafting data protection clauses in e-commerce contracts, of course, बहुत important है आपके लिए. Then advising social media and other platforms on sharing of information and surveillance with government platforms. आपको पता है अभी WhatsApp की पॉलिसी अपडेट होने के बाद से कितना ज्यादा हल्ला मचा था, राइट? सो इफ यू आर ऑलरेडी अवेयर हाउ टू एडवाइज सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स, राइट, टू व्हाट एक्सटेंट कैन दे शेयर इन्फॉर्मेशन इवन इफ इट इज विद गवर्नमेंट एजेंसीज, राइट? तो वो चीज यू कैन डेफिनेटली डू दैट, right? Or if you know this work and you are defending a client whose information has been leaked by the company to government, which was not within the protocol, right? So you can always defend the client also. You can like work from both sides. Then takedown request is another important thing, that whenever somebody raises an issue against a website, that like we want this matter to be removed from this particular website due to any reason. It could be, say, it could be unethical, it could be infringing somebody's copyrights or anything. It could be anything, right? So how do you like advise your client to go forward in that, right? Because there also it's the entire thing is on technology. It could be from any domain, the person who's running that website, right? So how do you do that under Indian laws? That is something which is the work of a technology lawyer, right? Now if a competitor is placing bids on your client's trademarks on Google Ads, then how will you take actions? So these are the different kinds of works you can do based on where exactly you are. You could be a law student and you might not know the advanced level of these things, or you could be a technology lawyer already who started, but you don't know what else you could do. So the entire list is available for you on the website, and you can check, and from there you can pick what are the things you're already aware of, mention them in your application, and then you can like start from there. I hope this was helpful. Beyond that, like please join us in the evening from 6 to 9 tonight. We'll be covering these things in great detail, right? This session was more about how to get the job. Next session will be about like how to start from scratch. So Komal ma'am, over to you.
Yeah, for sure. So Sammanika mentioned the workshop today. So we have kind of, an extensive 3-hour workshop that is there today. And you can have a look at the website 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏/webinars, and you can register for the workshop. I can even give you a link. Just give me one sec. for the workshop?
If you're not able to find it, just connect with me on LinkedIn and just send me a message that we need the link for the session. I'll inbox you the link.
Sorry, it's gone to all panelists. I'll put it to everyone. Yeah, so this is the link you can register for the webinar this evening. And it's going to discuss extensively in detail about how you can have a career in technology law. So thank you guys so much for attending. Before we just sign off, I'd like to have some views from you guys about what is the value that you received from the webinar. If you were to mark us on out of 10, what is the rating that you will give us, me and Sammanika?
0 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. And if you have any questions, like you can raise your hand, we'll unmute and we'll address them.
Nobody would like to do this.
No ratings?
No rating.
Okay.
Yeah,
Richa is saying thanks a lot for the session. Looking forward for the workshop.
8,
10.
9. Great.
Okay. Nirmal, if you have any particular doubts, like you can raise your hand, I'll address them.
Actually, thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you for the feedback.
Right. Anuj, if you have any doubt, like just raise your hand, I'll allow you to speak. Yes, Richa, you can unmute yourself, I believe. Who was the person, ma'am? I forgot the name.
Nirmal is.
Okay.
Yeah, Nirmal.
Yeah, hello.
Nirmal. Yeah.
Yeah, Samantika. Yeah,
Yes.
actually, what happened, I have already enrolled myself into the M&A courses.
Okay.
So I have not started my classes because I have joined myself into the February batch. So I was wondering, so if a person can do multiple diploma courses in 1 year, like is it allowed?
Yeah.
Is it permitted?
You can. You just have to spend around 1 hour per day on each diploma. So if you can take out more than like 2.5 hours, then you can definitely do around at least 2 diplomas. I don't suggest 3 or more than that, because our courses are honestly heavy. You need time, like you can't mug up everything on the last moment, because these are the practical courses where industry experts are coming and giving you live sessions. So we do not expect you to like think about doing 10 courses at a time, but yes, 2 to 3 is manageable. And there are a lot of students who are doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Because anyways, we're spending 1 full year in doing. So if you know that you can balance, of course, why not?
Thank you, Samantika.
Yeah. Okay. Anuj, you want to say something? You had rated us 7. So was there anything I could address? Okay, I believe not. If anybody else has any questions, just raise your hand. I'll allow you to speak. Shruti. Shruti, you can unmute yourself.
Actually, I wanted to ask suggestions for students in first year. Like, what should we learn? How should we learn?
Okay, you want this answer to be specifically with respect to technology or in general?
In general, in general.
In general, see, in law school in first year, they only teach you basic subject, which is law of contracts. So it is advisable you start from there, right? Because जैसे school में बोलते हैं ना, you study ABCD, and then you learn how to make sentences, and then you go how to learn how to write an essay, right? In the same manner, the contracts is actually the ABCD of law. Because आपके जितने disputes हो रहे हैं आज की डेट में, उनमें से भी 90% of the disputes are also revolving around contracts. In corporates, every day there is one or the agreement, right? Dispute kya hai? Basically, 2 person had agreed to do something. There was an agreement between them, and one person is not following it, right? Or in contracts, whenever 2 parties are agreeing to do something to each other, right? So easily, if you know how to read the contracts, if you know how to draft the contracts, if you know how to find out loopholes in a contract, like what are the common mistakes, then like your base will be really, really strong. And then you can always, like, from there, contracts is the general law. From there, you can always go to specific niche. So in first year, you can start with learning how to draft contracts.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, then we are ready to close the session. Hopefully, I'll see you all in the evening session, which is from 6 to 9. This was just a 1 hour session, so we couldn't cover a lot of things here. But in the evening workshop, please join us on Zoom only, because not the entire session will not be there available on YouTube.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye. See you all in the evening.